Hello my crafty friends and welcome back to another fun video. Today I'm going for something completely different, not an art journal, not a card. I'm going to create an explosion box and I'm starting with a 12 by 12 white cardstock that I'm going to score at 2, 4 inches, 8 and 10. 2, 4, 8 and 10, and you can see the measurements on the screen right now. I'm going to rotate and on the other side again 2, 4, 8 and 10, and I'm going to use this cardstock to create the lid of my box. The construction of the box is super easy. If I can do it, trust me, you can do it too. So here I'm just using my bone folder and I'm reinforcing the scoring lines so you can see better exactly what I have in front of me. And an explosion box is super fun gift to give for a birthday. You can hide inside a little gift if you like. It is also a great idea to turn it into an album so you can add little photos on every one of those flaps, and you can make it even more complicated than the one that I'm going to show you today. My version is always the simplest one. You know that I like simple projects, but you can add even more layers one inside the other to end up with many flaps and make it fuller. So here is what I have at the moment. Hopefully you can see the scoring lines. At the sides you get 4 little squares. I'm going to cut out 3 of them. And I'm not speeding up the video at the moment so you can see exactly what I'm doing. Just cut out the 3 squares that are on the outside. Now there are many different ways to create a lid. The way that I'm showing you actually doesn't even need adhesive to put it together, plus it makes it really sturdy. The outside rim is really nice and thick, but you can definitely follow other tutorials that will give you a lid by using less paper. So I sped up the video just a little bit now. I'm just repeating the same steps for all the 4 corners. And I wanted to create a different kind of project today just for the fun of it. Since I have a new scrapbook pad in my collection, Welcome Home with Stamperia, I wanted to show you that this is not designed just for art journaling or for card making. So I'm going for a completely different project today, and you will see that it looks so beautiful at the end. Plus it's so simple to make. So I have the base construction for the lid ready, and I'm going to create the flaps by just cutting out those lines here. Just one line from every corner. This project is great for using up pattern paper that you have in your stash, and especially those pattern papers that may be quite busy or they are background papers and maybe you don't know what to do with them without focal points. So this is a great project for these kind of papers. Just look into your stash, I'm sure you will find something appropriate. Now here with my scissors I'm just cutting out a little triangle from the flaps just to make them easier to fold. And then you can use your double-sided tape and add a piece of tape at the top of the bigger flaps. You don't have to do it. You will see that at the end when I put the lid together, if you didn't use a double-sided tape, it would stay put just fine. But I need to make sure that it's going to be nice and sturdy. You can definitely use glue if you like at this stage. So now I'm adding double-sided tape on the other 2 flaps, just peel off the backing, and then I'm going to put it together, bring in the smaller flaps, cover them up with the bigger flap, and you have a very sturdy lid, just because the sides actually have 2 or 3 layers of cardstock, so it is really sturdy. Now for the base, all you have to do is to start again with a 12 by 12 cardstock, and you will score at all 4 sides at 4 1/8. This is going to make it slightly smaller, so it is going to fit perfectly on the lid that I just showed you how to create. So all I'm doing is reinforcing the scoring lines, and then I'm going to use my scissors and cut out the outside squares. And of course this is the basic construction. From there you can take it a step further. Instead of starting with white cardstock, you can start with any color cardstock that you like. You can even go with pattern paper instead of that. I'm going to use this as a base and decorate it with my pattern papers. But you can definitely also start with pattern paper, 12 by 12 pattern paper, and by the time you finish this construction you will have a ready-made project already. So here is my new scrapbook collection. This is the 12 by 12 version. The collection is called Welcome Home by Stamperia, and it gives you beautiful background papers. You will find that you always get a front paper with focal points, and then at the back you get a background paper which is perfect for the explosion boxes. And you do get many elements that you can cut out to decorate the flaps later on, especially on the last page. So let's start decorating. Here is the paper that I decided to go with for the outside of my lid. And this project doesn't take too much of a paper. This is just pieces that I cut out from one 12 by 12 paper, and you will see later on that I do have leftovers from this paper as well. So just measure or eyeball the pieces. I just like to make them slightly smaller than what they are so that I end up with a little white frame. And if you do have a colored cardstock for your base, you will be able to definitely see the color coming through. So it really depends on your preference and how you want to decorate your box. Now these are pieces again from the same 12 by 12 pattern paper. I'm just going to lay them down. I will trim them just a little bit since they are quite big so that I end up with a little white border and stick them down. So you see, from the same 12 by 12 paper I was able to cover up the lid as well as the inside flaps. Now for the outside I'm going to bring in another one of the beautiful pattern papers from the same pad. And I chose this one because it gives a lovely contrast with the pattern paper I used for the lid, but at the same time it has that lilac touch on it too, which I find absolutely lovely. So I'm going to stick down all the pieces. I have already trimmed them down. I'm just using my glue here just because I find it easier. If you like, you can definitely go with double-sided tape. And I'm not going to torture you showing you how I stick down each and every one of those pieces. So with the magic of video editing, here is how the inside looks. I'm going to stick another color for the center. These are the two leftovers from the pattern paper. And then here is the outside. And these are the leftovers from this 12 by 12 paper. Always remember, you can create the same project with different color papers, different pattern papers. It's going to give you a completely different look and feel. You can be really creative. You can definitely stop here. I'm not. And add your little gift inside. However, I'm going to turn it into a super fun project, so I'm going to share how I did that. So here I'm using the leftover pieces that I have from the pattern paper that I used for the outside. I cut them out into smaller panels, and then I'm just roughing up the edges by using my scissors just to add some texture there, some interest. I'm going to stick them on the flaps, on the 4 flaps, and I'm using the leftovers from the cardstock that I cut out in the beginning to create the construction of the box. Just use whatever you have. You can definitely go with foam tape at the back. I just wanted to have them popped a little bit so that you can see them against the background. Plus notice that I'm playing with papers that have contrasting colors, so it helps really with the layering. Now I'm going to decorate the flaps, and you can cut out elements from either the 12 by 12 paper pad, you can cut out elements from the 8 by 8 one, which are tinier, so they fit better with the proportions of this project. You can see I'm cutting out elements from here, and you can definitely go ahead and use the collectables. Again, this is going to give you tons and tons of images to cut out and play with. There is the option of the ephemera. And I'm going to show you here a fun thing. When you cut out images from the collectables, you have front and back, so you can flip them on your project depending on which side you want the animals to look at or how it matches your project. So here I have a little bird cut out from the ephemeras, and I'm going to put on some music and let you see how I decorated all the flaps. And here is how my project looks at the moment. I find it super adorable. How cute is this? Absolutely love the color combination, the beautiful images. It really makes me happy. Well, after all, I did design this collection. So anyway, again, you can stop here and add your little treat at the center. It can be chocolates, it can be a little gift, or if you want, you can turn it into a super fun project like I'm going to show you now. So in the collectables there is a page full of butterflies. The fun part again with the collectables is that you have the image front and back. So I'm going to cut out 3 of those butterflies, different sizes and different colors, as well as the book from this page. So you can see here a bunch of other elements that I cut out, 3 butterflies, a little flower, a clock, all of them from the collectables. Now the book doesn't fit at the center, but I'm going to give it a curve so it is going to look even more dimensional and fit at the 4x4 square of my base. Now here I have another piece of pattern paper. I'm just going to rough the edges again and stick it at the bottom, again by using some foam tape or some cardstock at the back to give it some dimension. Then I'm going to stick the book down. Again, I'm adding foam tape at the back. Curl up the edges a little bit to make sure that it fits when you close the box. And then I'm going to decorate with a flower, with the clock. And then it's time to add the 3-dimensional aspect on my project using the 3 butterflies. Now this is very important that it is front and back, because I'm going to pop them as if they are flying inside the box. So no matter which side you look at the butterflies, there is not a bad side. And that's exactly why I love so much the collectables, because you have front and back. Now I'm going to use thick acetate and I'm just going to cut out 3 strips of this acetate. I'm not measuring anything, I'm just going to eyeball them, and I need to make sure that they are not as tall as the box. So the idea is to stick the butterfly on one side of this acetate strip, and we are going to fold the other side. So we will be able to stick the other side at the bottom of our box. So I'm using a little piece of double-sided tape on the butterfly, and I'm going to stick the acetate there at the top of the acetate, like so. And you see front and back, you get a beautiful design. You don't have a back ugly side. For the bottom of the acetate where we created that little fold, just add a small piece of double-sided tape or glue and be creative, try to hide it behind the clock or behind the books, and you will end up with a lovely butterfly flying inside your box. Now we are going to repeat the same steps for the rest of the 2 butterflies. And these are going to give a lovely interactive element inside your box. It is a fun surprise for anyone that you are going to gift this box to. I'm absolutely in love with the color combination, with all the images on all the flaps and the butterflies flying at the center. This project really makes me happy. And of course, if you know me, you know that I cannot create a little composition without adding a motivational word. So for the center, I'm going to use happy days. And of course, since the inside of the box is so beautiful, we cannot leave the top of the lid as it is. So let's decorate it really quickly. For that, I cut out a circle. This is again from the pattern paper from this collection. I'm going to rough up the edges and stick it down. You see I'm sticking it on another piece of circle just to make it thicker, to give it more stability, and then with foam tape at the back it's going to go on top of my lid. I don't want to add the composition at the center of the lid, I'm going to create it a little bit offset, So here I'm auditioning, trying to decide where this circle is going to go, and the idea is to then decorate it with other elements. So here I have created my very own flower. These are dies that I use to create my own flowers by Dress My Craft, and I do have a video on how I make my own flowers. I am going to link it here at the top right corner, probably you will see a link, and then I'm going to stick everything down. For the flower, just because it is quite bulky, I did use my hot glue gun. And then I used other dies from my stash to cut out little leaves. I used pattern paper from the same collection, so there is a green paper that you can use to cut out your leaves from. And this is great because the colors match beautifully with the rest of the pattern papers. And then I'm going to add even more elements to make it look more fun from the same collection. These are my decorative chips, and I'm using the flowers, some of the leaves. These are laser cut, they have some dimension and they are very delicate, so make sure that you pay a lot of attention as you try to separate them. My leaf is a little bit cut out here. I don't really mind. I'm going to stick what's left directly on top of my project and no one will ever know. Again, for this you can go with white glue or you can go with your hot glue gun. This is thick paper, it's not wood by the way. So let's finish it off. I'm using some ribbon. This is a seam binding in cream color that I go ahead and color with sprays or with ink. I'm going to just glue it underneath the flower to decorate the lid, add my motivational word. And after 16 minutes, it's time to call this project done. Well, it took me more than 16 minutes, but it was such a fun project to create. I'm going to place the lid on top so you can see it in all its glory. I'm super happy with it and I'm going to send it to someone special. Thank you all so much for joining me today. I hope that you had fun as much as I had while creating this project with my new collection, Welcome Home with Stamperia. Links to everything that I used can be found down below in the description. Thank you all for joining me today and spending some time with me. Don't forget to like, to leave me a comment, and I'll see you all next time.